everyone, welcome to the 13 Days of Halloween, Day 12. It's Justine, and today we're going to be creating a card, once again using this witch hat stamp from Stamper's Grove, or what's called Crafty Stamps. And this is a stamp that I found at the local crafting store here in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I'm just going to use it today to create a background this time. In my last card, which I have on my 13 days playlist, I actually used this as a focal point of a card and colored it with Copic markers, but today I'm just going to do some white embossing and use it as my background. So I'm just stamping it in Versamark over and over again, and I'm just stamping it randomly onto my card. If you have good lighting, you should be able to see that where it's actually stamped in a very faint line. And on the video, it may be difficult to see. So I'm just going over and over again, and I'm just going to speed up the video as I do this, and I'm just doing a random pattern, so the hat is usually going off of the cardstock. Alright, so now that I'm relatively finished my background here with the hat stamp, I just have this one more to go here. I'm going to remove my card panel and add some white embossing powder. Now this is embossing powder from Ranger, and it's a super fine embossing powder. I'm just going to remove that and add the powder now. You want to make sure to hold the card panel sort of with your nail, or so that you don't get a fingerprint on it, and because fingerprints will usually also hold the embossing powder, so hold it from the sides. Pour the embossing powder over. If you have a jar, you can just pour it over a piece of scrap paper and then filter it back into your container. I prefer using a Tupperware container here, just because I use this color all the time, but it's the only color I use the Tupperware container with. Just going to go in and do some white heat embossing here with my card, and then we're going to get started with a distressed background. And I'm not going to show the process because you can't actually see the white melting on the actual video itself. So first off, I'm going to take some mustard seed ink, and I'm going to take my blending tool, and I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out. Okay, so I'm going with the yellow, working my way out. It's getting darker and darker in the middle, as you can see, as the paper becomes more saturated. I'm just going to switch colors and come in with some spiced marmalade over on the side and blend that in with the yellow. And then I'm going to follow it by Abandoned Coral, and lastly with Dusty Concord. So I'm just tweaking my usual colors that I use for sort of a daybreak scene, and I'm also changing the way that I am doing it. Instead of doing it from top to bottom, I'm starting in the middle and working my way outwards in a circular pattern, and you can see that it makes quite a different look to the card. So even if you have a go-to color when you're distress inking, like I do, it's often the case that if you start off somewhere different, or you just add one other color, it will make the look completely different. So I'm just darkening up the background here using some Dusty Concord ink. I'm just really going over the edges just to give it sort of a finished look. And then I decided I needed sentiment, and I also decided that the sentiment wasn't enough. So I grabbed some of these pieces from the Nevermore Compliments from Close to My Heart, which I've used in several of my videos, and I decided to add these 3 little ghosts to my actual card panel. And these ghosts are made of like on transparency paper, so they're actually see-through. But I was able to use the Tombow Mono glue without having any issues of being able to see the glue. I'm not really sure if that's the case if you use them with 3D foam tape. I'm guessing you will see it. So just use a liquid glue for these and you should be fine. The only thing about these is that they're kind of hard to photograph because they usually have a flash on them, or like a shine, a glare to them. And then the last thing I wanted to do was add my sentiment. Now, I was thinking about adding the "You Look So Boo-Tiful" sentiment to my card, and I'll show you that in just a second here, but I decided that it was kind of getting lost in the center of my card and didn't really fit well with the theme. So I decided I had to add just a little something different. So here's the sentiment, and as you can see, the card just does not look complete. So I had to peel that up, and then I actually decided to add some stenciling to my card. So I grabbed this stencil here from My Favorite Things, and I'm just going to hold it down using some 3M tape and do some stenciling. So I'm not using the whole stencil, I'm just going to mask off a single area. So I'm going to mask off that one line of diagonal stripes, and I'm just going to need to hold down my actual stencil on the sides here so that it doesn't move. then I'm going to come in with my black soot ink and a blending tool, and I'm just going to stomp the ink over top of the diagonal. And I don't really need to make wide circular motions or anything like that because I don't want to go off of the area of that masking paper. So now you can see these stripes are down. I just wiped it off the embossing area as well as the ghost, and then I added my sentiment in the middle, and I think that was able to create more of a striking look, and the sentiment stands out a little bit better. I'm just going to attach my card panel to a piece of Simon Says Stamp black cardstock. The cardstock measures 11 by 4¼ inches, and it's scored there at 5½ inches to make a top folding card. And that's the end of today's card tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed day 12, and day 13 will actually be released at midnight Eastern time tonight for the AAA card challenge. All the supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. I would really appreciate it if you shop through those links if you're planning on getting any of those products from today's video. You can click on the moving video here to see the last video for the 13 Days of Halloween series. You can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, or click on the top there to be directed to my blog. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day.